recitations of the Quran, the MSA talks that they attended. All those good deeds are right there. And then the Prophet said, yet for whatever reason, Allah will turn those piles of good deeds and He will turn them into ash. Haba'an manthura. It'll just disintegrate in front of their eyes. Why? The Prophet said these individuals, when they were all by themselves, وَإِذَا خَلَوْا, when they were away from the eyes of the people, they had no regard for Allah's rules. No regard. You know, it's one thing to battle an addiction privately. It's one thing to kind of give into your temptation privately and hating your sin and, asking Allah's forgiveness. It's another to become bold in private, bodacious in private, where it just no longer matters. Allah captures this in the Quran. يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ النَّاسِ وَلَا يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ. They carefully curate their image in front of people, carefully hide their sins from people. وَلَا يَسْتَخْفُونَ مِنَ اللَّهِ. When it comes to Allah, He's not even on their radar. That's not what we want to be. And that's the personality of Yusuf. That's exactly, this is the opposite of what Yusuf was. That no matter what situation you threw him in, he understood he who was, he was true to his North Star. And my dear brothers and sisters, I teach high school. So part of the job of a high school teacher is PTC, parent-teacher conferences. So obviously I teach Islamic studies, and one of the two questions I ask all parents I meet, I always ask them, because usually the kids are not there, but even if they are, I'll still ask that question. I ask them, apart from giving updates on their grades, I ask, how are they doing on their prayers? And how they're doing on their manners? Because prayer is your relationship with Allah. Manners, relationship with people. So I always ask those two questions. I remember once I was having this parent-teacher conference. There was one student who, in class, I have an impression of him. And my impression is that every time I ask a question, his hand is one of the first ones to go up. This kid is like killing it. He's answering questions left and right, lights out. And I'm looking at this kid, I'm like, man, I feel like I do have a career in teaching. I think I'm doing all right. Look at this kid, mashallah, he's killing it. And on top of that, the way he could paraphrase it back, you would think, subhanAllah, you know what? That's a star student in the making. Maybe he's going to go on to become a qalb student. Maybe he'll be a future sheikh or a student of knowledge or a youth director. And you're thinking about like a career plan for him, right? And then the parent-teacher conferences happen. And I'm talking to the parents. I'm like, so, how's he doing on prayers? The parents said, we're having a very hard time. We have to call on him 17 times for him to come down from his room to join the family in prayer. And I'm thinking to myself, subhanAllah, one image in public, one image in private, and they're worlds apart. We all have a little bit of, like, obviously, skeletons in our closets, as they say. We all have our shortcomings that are between us and Allah. We ask Allah to forgive us. One of the names of Allah is that He covers for you and I. As long as you and I seek forgiveness, inshallah, it remains covered. But I'm thinking to myself, how does it become so far apart that you can't even recognize a person in private? Last thing I want to mention, as I'm wrapping up this first lesson, and once again, those of you who are joining us today, the first lesson from the story of Yusuf Islam was, he was a person of ihsan, no matter where he was. On campus, off campus. On stage, off stage. And that is a beautiful thing. Where you are not a function of your surroundings. You are who you are because you're tethered to the highest power. You guys, the last mini lesson from this is, do appreciate the fact that it speaks volumes about you, the way you treat others when you're in a position of privilege, when you're in a position of power. How you treat people then, well, it speaks volumes about you. And I'm not just talking about like a boss and employee relationship. I'm talking about you're the older sibling and you have a younger sibling. How do you treat them? Mashallah, you're one of the smartest kids in class. You're the top student in class. How do you treat someone who needs a little bit of help? And wherever Allah has put you in a position of privilege, where He has put you in a situation where you have a little bit of an advantage over someone else, how do you treat someone who's below you? Because one thing about Yusuf alayhi salam is, you see the ihsan that comes through even though he's in a position of power. And this is something that was true about our Prophet ﷺ as well. I'll share with you a quick story that is a profound story. Our Prophet ﷺ, despite being tortured, and despite the fact that he was battled by the Quraysh for years, when he finally conquered Makkah,
Why'd
and I
you
mentioned earlier he had a moment of sweet revenge. And the Prophet ﷺ could have really punished some of the key leaders of Makkah. One of them was Safwan ibn
Wait, do it
Umayyah.
again.
Safwan is the son of Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was the owner of Bilal. If you know the story of Bilal and what his master did to him,
No, no.
he died in the Battle of Badr, Umayyah, but his son is still alive, Safwan. Safwan has a lot of resentment for the Prophet ﷺ, along with some of the other leaders of Makkah. The Prophet is a conqueror now. They're all kind of like towing the line. They're all kind of just pretending to get along with this new leadership and new administration and the new sheriff in town, which is our Prophet ﷺ. But deep down, they got a lot of beef, a lot of resentment. And now, the Prophet has conquered Makkah. And outwardly, some of them even have accepted Islam. Safwan has begrudgingly accepted Islam. Still got a lot of hate in his heart. And now the Battle of Hunayn is around the corner. The Prophet notices that he needs armor and he needs weaponry. And who has this huge armory? Safwan. So the Prophet goes up to Safwan and says, "Ya Safwan, we're about to face the tribe of Hawazin. We need a little help here. We need your armors." He's like, "Aghasban ya Muhammad? You wanna just take my stuff? You wanna just seize my assets? Ya Muhammad?" And the Prophet says, "No, no, we just want to borrow it, and all the things that we take from you are fully insured. Meaning anything is lost or missing, we'll compensate you." The Prophet owes him nothing. The Prophet could just literally say the word and he'll be in prison, potentially executed. The Prophet could have him exiled. And no one would bat an eye because the Prophet is the head of the state right now. But look at the courtesy here. He said, no, we're just going to borrow things from you, and we'll insure or cover any expenses. Now the Prophet goes off to the Battle of Hunayn. Muslims eventually win. And the Prophet from this particular battle, he achieves a fortune.
No, you can't do that.
Narrations tell us millions of dollars worth of spoils of war land in the lap of the Prophet ﷺ. Hundreds and thousands of camels and goats and sheep, and you can imagine. And the Prophet with all these spoils of war, what does he do? He wants to lower the resentment level of the leaders of Quraysh. So, Abu Sufyan, 100 camels. Safwan, 100 camels. That's like getting $1 million check in today's equivalent. Aqra ibn Habis, 100 camels. And then another 100 camels. And one leader of Najdi tribes, he gave him like a valley full of goats and sheep. And he just gives, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, until all the spoils of war are distributed. And Safwan is looking at this man, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who's gifting him, well, he got beef in his heart against the same man. And slowly the Prophet is chipping away at the baggage that he has in his heart. And now it's time to return the armors back. So the Prophet goes to Safwan, he's like, "Yes, Safwan, we calculated all the armors, and it looks like we have a few missing and a few damaged. How much do we owe you?" Safwan this time says, "La ya Rasulullah." No, ya Rasulullah. No longer Muhammad. This time he says, "No, ya Rasulullah. My heart towards you is not the same as it was earlier." And subhanAllah, his demeanor changed. His attitude changed. Because of the way he was treated by someone who was in a position of power who owed him nothing. And you guys, this is another profound lesson from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. The last thing I'd like to share with you, the last lesson from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, is something that I echoed earlier. Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was seduced by the wife of the minister. If you guys recall, when the banquet took place, and Yusuf alayhi salam was asked to come out in front of the ladies, and we know what their reaction was. And now the ultimatum was made, and Yusuf alayhi salam was given this choice. You either commit haram, or you go to prison. You gotta make your choice. Yusuf alayhi salam